Congratulations! You've just graduated with honors in public accounting. Your mom cries with pride at the ceremony. You're the first in your family to have a college degree. You land a job at a respectable firm in Monterrey. 25,000 pesos a month. It's not much, but it's honest. You have your own desk, your computer, your future. Everything's going well until he arrives. He's a cousin of a friend of an uncle. He sits across from you at the taqueria where you have lunch every day. I heard you're very good with numbers, he says. He's wearing a Rolex that shines too bright. I have a business that needs tax organization. Well paid. You tell him no, that you're fine where you are. He smiles. Think about it. Here's my number. He leaves a 500 peso bill to pay for your 45 tacos. He doesn't wait for change. 2 weeks later, you get the news. Your dad needs surgery. Insurance doesn't cover everything. It's 300,000 pesos you don't have. That same night, you dial the number. The meeting is at an elegant restaurant. A private room in the back. There are 3 men. One of them is El Ingeniero. He doesn't look like an engineer. He looks like a man who has seen things you can't even imagine. I need someone who understands taxes, invoices, how to make money look clean on paper. He explains that he has several businesses, gas stations, construction companies, restaurants. All legal, he says. You know he's lying. Everyone knows. But the 50,000 pesos monthly he's offering are real. Your dad needs that surgery. You accept. Your first day is in an industrial warehouse. There's no office. There's a folding table, a new laptop still in its box, and an armed man at the door who stares at you without blinking. On the table are 3 shoeboxes full of crumpled receipts, handwritten invoices, and stacks of cash. Organize this, they tell you. We need everything to match up for the SAT. You spend 14 hours that first day. You break into a cold sweat when you discover the invoices are from shell companies. Companies that exist only on paper. Your job is simple. Make 5 million pesos in cash look like legitimate income from a gas station that barely sells 1,000 liters daily. You learn fast. Too fast. You discover that your real talent isn't traditional accounting. It's creative accounting. You create a network of 15 companies. One sells to another. That one sells to another. Consulting services that never happen. Maintenance contracts for machinery that doesn't exist. Each transaction generates a tax receipt. Each receipt makes the dirty money look a little cleaner. It's like doing laundry, but instead of detergent, you use tax IDs and digital invoices. The SAT never reviews everything. They don't have enough staff. As long as the papers look good, nobody asks questions. You go from the warehouse to a real office. Nothing fancy. A gray building in an industrial zone. You have 2 assistants now. They don't know who they're really working for. They think it's a logistics company. You're the only one who sees the complete picture. You're the only one who knows that those 20 million pesos coming in each month don't come from transporting avocados. They come from the border. They come in suitcases. They come stained with things you prefer not to imagine. Your work evolves. You no longer just wash money. Now you multiply it. El Ingeniero explains the real business. The cartel moves product north. The gringos pay in dollars. Those dollars come back in cash. Your job is to convert that cash into legitimate assets without raising suspicions. You learn about smurfing. You hire 50 people. Students, housewives, taxi drivers. You give them 9,000 pesos in cash. They deposit it in different banks. 50 people, 10 banks, twice a week. In 1 month, you've washed 18 million pesos. Each deposit is below the limit that triggers alerts. It's tedious. It's slow. It's perfect. But smurfing isn't enough. You need more sophisticated methods. You discover international trade. The cartel has an electronics importing company in Tijuana. You create an electronics exporting company in Hong Kong. The exporter sells 5,000 laptops to the importer for $2,000 each. In reality, the laptops are worth $400. The difference, $8 million, is cartel money that now appears as a legitimate commercial transaction. The laptops don't even exist. They only exist in invoices, in cargo manifests, in documents that bear your digital signature. You become an expert in tax havens. Panama is your favorite. You open 12 offshore companies. Each one has a nominee director, a Panamanian lawyer who charges $500 a month to lend his name. These companies loan money to the cartel's Mexican companies. Their loans at 18% annual interest. Obviously, the lender and borrower are the same entity, but on paper, everything looks legitimate. The money travels from Culiacan to Panama, from Panama to the Cayman Islands, from the Caymans to Delaware, and finally returns to Mexico as foreign investment. You spin it around the world 15 times before the peso touches Mexican soil again. You buy a casino in Veracruz. It's the perfect washing machine. The sicarios arrive with backpacks full of $200 and 500 peso bills. They buy chips. They play for half an hour. They lose a little on purpose. They leave with a check from the casino. Clean money. The casino reports impressive earnings. You pay all your taxes religiously. You even receive a commendation from the municipal government for being an exemplary taxpayer. The irony provokes a bitter laugh you don't share with anyone. Your life changes. You no longer live in your $4,500 a month apartment. Now you have a house in San Pedro Garza Garcia. 3 floors, infinity pool, mountain views. You drive a BMW you never dreamed of having. You wear Italian suits. You eat at the best restaurants, but you don't enjoy anything. You can't, because everything has an invisible price. You have 2 cell phones now. One personal that you almost never use. Another that's your real phone. That one changes every week. New number, new SIM, new digital identity. You learn not to say anything important over the phone. Everything is in code. The package arrived means there's $3 million waiting in the warehouse. Tuesday's meeting is canceled means there's a police operation and you have to disappear for a few days. You meet El Patron in person only twice. The first time is at a ranch in Sinaloa. You arrive in an armored SUV with your eyes blindfolded. When they remove the blindfold, you're in front of him. He's shorter than you imagined. Calmer. He speaks with a soft voice. He thanks you for your work. You're the most important person in the organization, he says. The sicarios come and go. The distributors are replaceable. But you're unique. You know where every peso is. That makes you valuable. It also makes you dangerous. The threat isn't subtle. He's telling you that you're indispensable but also disposable. You're Schrodinger's employee, simultaneously the most protected and most threatened person in the organization. Your work becomes more complex. The cartel is expanding. It's no longer just drugs. Now it's fuel theft. You have to wash money from stolen gasoline. Then it's human trafficking. You have to create labor recruitment companies that justify international transfers. Then it's extortion. You have to explain why 200 businesses pay security fees to a protection services company that doesn't have a single guard employed. Each new branch of the business requires a new financial structure. You're like an architect, but instead of buildings, you construct paper labyrinths where dirty money enters on one side and comes out clean on the other. You learn about cryptocurrencies. It's the future of laundering, they tell you. You buy Bitcoin with cash at unregulated exchange houses. You transfer the Bitcoin to wallets abroad. You sell it for dollars on European exchanges. The dollars return as investment in Mexican tech startups that you control. The government is so excited about foreign investment in technology that they even give you tax benefits. The irony is delicious and nauseating at the same time. But technology is a double-edged sword. The UIF, the Financial Intelligence Unit, is improving. They have new software. Artificial intelligence that detects suspicious patterns. You have to be more creative. You start using the real estate market. You buy apartments in Polanco, in Condesa, in Puerto Vallarta. You buy them in cash through notaries who don't ask difficult questions. Then you sell them to offshore companies that you control. The artificial capital gain you generate is simply laundered money by another name. You discover art. You buy works from emerging artists in small galleries. You pay in cash. 6 months later, those same works are auctioned in Miami through legitimate auction houses. Mysteriously, there's always a buyer willing to pay 10 times more. That buyer is another of your shell companies. The artist is happy. The gallery is happy. The auction house collects its commission. Everyone wins. Nobody asks where the original money came from. Your paranoia reaches clinical levels. You know too much. You're the only one who can connect all the dots. You're the only one who knows every bank account, every shell company, every laundering operation. That makes you the cartel's most valuable asset. It also makes you the most dangerous witness. You sleep with a gun under your pillow. You have 3 different cars that you alternate randomly. You never follow the same route 2 days in a row. You check your car for GPS trackers every morning. You change houses every 6 months. You have a backpack always ready. Inside are $200,000 in cash, 3 fake passports with complete identities, cloned credit cards, a satellite phone, and the information for 15 foreign bank accounts that only you know about. It's your life insurance. If something goes wrong, if the cartel decides you know too much, if the government gets too close, you have 30 minutes to disappear. You've practiced the road. You know exactly what to do. But you also know it probably wouldn't work. They have people everywhere. You can't have real relationships. You had a girlfriend. She was an elementary school teacher. Sweet, innocent, oblivious to your world. You lasted 4 months until your bodyguard scared her off. "Why are there always men in SUVs following us?" she asked. You couldn't explain. You left her for her safety. Now you only have acquaintances. Women who understand they shouldn't ask questions. Transactional relationships that end when dawn breaks. Your family thinks you work in international financial consulting. Your mom brags that her son helps big companies with their taxes. She doesn't know those companies don't exist. Your dad, whose surgery you paid for with that first blood-stained check, died 2 years ago without knowing the truth. At his funeral, El Ingeniero sent a flower arrangement so large it seemed obscene. Everyone thought you were very successful. Nobody knew the flowers were a silent warning. We're watching even in your most vulnerable moments. You see what happens when someone fails. An accountant before you made a mistake. He deposited $11,000 in an account when the limit was $10,000. He triggered an alert. The bank reported the suspicious transaction. 3 days later, they found his car abandoned in Monterey. He never appeared. His mistake cost $11,000. His life was worth less. You learned the lesson. Every number you write, you check 3 times. Every transaction you analyze from all angles. A mistake isn't just a mistake. It's a death sentence with your name on it. You attend meetings where people's futures are decided. This mayor doesn't want to cooperate, someone says. Everyone looks at the numbers. How much does it cost to buy him? How much does it cost to eliminate him? Your job is to present the cost-benefit analysis. You do it with the same coldness with which you used to do tax audits. You've stopped seeing people as people. They're variables in an equation. They're obstacles or assets. You've become something you don't recognize when you look in the mirror. The money you move is obscene. In 1 year, you pass 400 million pesos through your systems. You know that money comes from pain. It comes from addicts in Los Angeles. It comes from destroyed families in Phoenix. It comes from bodies in clandestine graves. But you can't think about that. If you think about that, you can't function. So you compartmentalize it. It's just numbers on a screen. It has no smell. It has no color. It has no history. It's just your job. You start drinking. First it's a glass of wine with dinner. Then it's 3. Then it's whiskey in the mornings to calm your nerves. Then it's vodka at midday because the whiskey no longer works. You consider cocaine, but you know it would be ironic and stupid. You can't have any weakness they can exploit. So you just drink, and you drink alone, and nobody can know that the cartel's perfect and infallible accountant is crumbling inside. You try to leave. Once. You gather courage and tell El Ingeniero you want to retire, that you've saved enough, that you want to go to Costa Rica, open a small business, disappear. He listens patiently. Then he smiles. "Of course you can retire," he says. "We just need you to train your replacement. Teach him everything you know, every account, every contact, every operation." You understand the trap immediately. The day you transfer all that knowledge is the day you stop being indispensable. It's the day you become a risk that must be eliminated. You never mention retirement again. Technology is catching up to you. Detection algorithms improve every day. Banks are more cautious. Governments cooperate more with each other. Your work becomes harder and more dangerous. You have to be more creative, bolder, take more risks. Each risk is a potential trap. You start using decentralized cryptocurrency exchanges, NFTs that are just laundering vehicles, DAOs that don't answer to any jurisdiction. You're on the frontier of financial crime, innovating in ways they'll probably study in universities in 20 years. One day you make your first real mistake. It's small. You transferred $500,000 too much to an account in Luxembourg. You correct it in 2 hours, but the bank asks questions. You have to give explanations. You invent a story about a new employee's error. It seems to work, but your bodyguard sees you sweat. He sees you check your escape backpack. He sees you search for flights to Brazil on your phone. He reports everything. That night they call you to a meeting. It's not at the office. It's at a safe house on the outskirts of the city. When you arrive, El Ingeniero is there with 4 men you haven't seen before. "We heard you had a problem," he says. You explain everything. He nods. "I understand. The stress, the pressure, it's a lot." He offers you a whiskey. You accept with a trembling hand. "You need a vacation," he says. "A break. We have a new operation in Colombia. We need someone trustworthy to establish the same structure there. 1 month, 2 at most. We'll pay you triple. You know what it means. Colombia isn't a vacation. It's an exile or a grave. If you go, you might never return. If you don't go, you definitely won't survive the week. So you accept. You drink the whiskey. You pack your bags that same night. You don't say goodbye to anyone because there's no one to say goodbye to. The flight is on a private jet. There's no record of your departure from the country. Officially, you never left. You arrive at a complex in the mountains near Medellin. It's beautiful and terrifying. There are gardens, horses, an impressive view. There are also armed men every 50 meters. You understand this isn't an opportunity. It's a luxury prison. You're too valuable to kill, but too dangerous to have free. You begin establishing the operation in Colombia. It's the same game with different players. You create companies. You launder money. You work magic with numbers. But something has changed. You no longer pretend this is okay. You no longer lie to yourself saying it's just a job. You know exactly what you are. You're the human calculator that makes suffering possible on an industrial scale. You're the financial architect of hell. One night, on the balcony of your room, you look at the mountains and consider jumping. It would be easy, quick, final, but you don't do it. Not because you have hope, not because you think things can get better. You do it because deep down you've become like them. You've gotten used to the adrenaline, to the power, to knowing that with a few keystrokes you can move more money than most people will see in their lifetimes. You're the cartel's accountant. You don't have a real name anymore. You're El Contador, or the magician, or the architect. You're a legend in the underworld. Other accountants whisper about you with admiration and horror. You're proof that talent has no morals, that intelligence can be the greatest curse. Your story doesn't have a happy ending because it hasn't ended yet. You're still alive, which in this business is the only kind of victory that exists. Every day you wake up is a day you won. Every successful transaction is a postponed death sentence. You live in an eternal present where the past is a forbidden country and the future is a meaningless concept. You're no longer an accountant, you're a function, a tool, a human algorithm that converts blood into investments. And the darkest part is that it doesn't even bother you anymore. You've optimized yourself for survival. You've eliminated guilt like it was an unnecessary expense on a balance sheet. This is what you are now, a genius trapped in a golden cage he built himself, counting money he can never enjoy, serving men who need him too much to free him and trust him too little to let him live in peace. You're the world's most valuable prisoner, and your cell is made of numbers that only you understand.